Hey, hey,
Welcome back. Wow, quite a week we had, huh?
we sure did.
That was the Hemlock Harvest Festival. How did you like it?
That was unlike anything I'd ever experienced in my entire
Yep.
life. It was, it was
We do, I think, a pretty good job of keeping it kind of quiet from the tourists too.
uh,
I know we had that Heritage Festival a few weeks ago, which was kind of lame. Makes me
yeah,
roll my eyes. But this is the real deal. It's a week long festival. They come up with this great theme every year, and they make these they make these giant puppets every year.
yeah,
I've never seen them reuse them. If you go into
really.
there's actually a room in my library in the basement where they keep all the old puppets,
Okay,
going back going back
okay.
decades. And this year the theme was, well, they don't explicitly state the theme. What do you think the theme was of those puppets?
I picked up on some farming
Mhm,
stuff.
mhm.
There were corns and pumpkins and vegetables. So maybe it was an agricultural kind of, maybe like a history of
I think
agriculture. Is
it
that kind of what
was
I was
yeah, it was
picking up
kind of the
on? Yeah.
introduction of agriculture and kind of an urban versus pastoral. I know that, Dimsdale, who makes the puppets, is very, he loves his Shakespeare, and I know he's been reading As You Like It lately, which
Okay.
has the pastoral
Of
themes,
course. Yeah.
so and of course, they gave all those little kids the little scythes.
Oh, that was so
Which they
cute.
could have, or sickles, I guess, if it's a little one.
Yeah.
They were really sharp. I mean, they could have taken
I don't know why they
somebody's
did
eye out,
it
but
was cute to see them running around with
it
them
was.
anyway.
And speaking of the kids, for me, the highlight of the whole festival is the crowning of the Fool King and Fool
Oh my
Queen.
so cute.
They seem to pick just the cutest little kids in the whole town each year, and then they're in charge for the day. They give them this garland, and crown of autumn leaves and corn husks, and then they quite literally do make the decisions for the whole town for the rest of the festival.
Yeah.
Um,
They like run the they like kind of run the festival.
yeah,
But it's
I remember at one point that all the kids got ice cream and all the grown-ups had to be like the tables and chairs that they
oh,
sat
that was
on.
really fun.
That was pretty
Yeah,
fun.
that was
Yeah,
so
from a
cute.
distance. Maybe glad I wasn't one of those
I'm
parents.
glad I wasn't I didn't do that, but it was great. And I really love being in this town. I really feel I've landed in the right spot because there's something about this festival. It was kind of like a combination of something deeply familiar and deeply sentimental, or in a sense, it's like in my soul, right?
Hmm.
Like it's old. It's something that I as a human crave. This community, but there's also something kind of uncanny about the festival as well. I mean, like you're walking through a parade of massive, kind of creepy puppets, and there's something kind of otherworldly about the entire thing. And
Yeah,
it
I think you're right about that. I mean, during this time of year, it's the equinox. All of the I think the walls between the worlds are thinner. Well,
mhm,
that's what they say.
a bit
People who
blind,
who
yeah,
think that way, and so we're closer to life and death, sort of kiss
exactly.
at this time of year. That's why we love Halloween so much, and it's comforting, but it is also spooky. You're
Very
you're not
spooky.
wrong.
Yeah. But
Oh, but how about the food?
oh my gosh, the food was to die for. I mean, the apple cider donuts
The
were
apple cider donuts,
delicious,
and then every adult in town pretty much makes their own apple cider
Oh,
to
the cider was delicious.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was, with the best, I think, being, Mayor Cross, his wife, and all those the deep spices she puts in it, and I know that she spends, like, 36 hours making each batch,
Yeah.
like, of intense work. Um, did you see Dave and Willie? They had a little booth set up
That was cute.
recruiting
Yeah.
people for the park rangers. I hope you didn't try their cider 'cause,
Yeah?
I learned the hard way, that they make it a little strong, some little extra ingredients in that cider that might have you having an interesting time for the rest of the festival if
Only those two would do
if you catch
that.
my drifts. Um, yeah, the food was great with I think the notable exception of your good
Of
friends
course. Hunter and Grayson.
at,
Yeah, with the Gringo Dia.
their Gringo Dia food truck. Now, this was the first year they've done a Gringo Dia food truck.
Mhm.
Could you tell that they didn't know what they
They
were
had no
doing?
idea what they were doing. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Describe to the listener a little bit that.
So, first of all, I mean, I've expressed my dislike of their quote unquote quesadillas. Their quote unquote Mexican food, even
Mhm.
though we know there's it's they're Hunter and Grayson. They what was it? It was like a
They had a
buffalo
buffalo
quesadilla.
chicken quesadilla
That
and
was
a
really
like
offensive
a
to
sour
me.
cream and onion quesadilla as well. They were just doing, like, Pringles flavors.
Pringles flavored quesadillas. It was awful, and I think their generator broke at one point.
Mhm.
And all I do is at one point I turn over and look at them in the festival, and I see a massive line of people just standing there. They've already paid apparently, and just no food's coming to them whatsoever. They're like running around all.
And Grayson and Hunter were kind of screaming at each other
Oh,
at
they
this
were yelling.
point.
They were not
Yep.
happy at each other at all for the way things were going. So like I think like that's how smoke coming out of the kitchen at
Yep.
one point. It was almost kind of a comedic sight. But the sourdough pizza from
Y
the pizza pub,
the food you were in charge
yep,
of was a hit.
killer. I made all the 72-hour fermented dough, and they did it in a little wood fire oven. It was
I had
delicious.
quite a few people asking me, "What's the name of the baker who makes this dough?" It felt kinda like maybe it was your bigger rival into the town, was this because you
Yeah,
especially the comparison to Grayson and Hunter.
yeah.
You kinda shined, and, I bet that was part of why I saw you and, who
Alice.
Alice, you and Alice were kind of, spend a little time together because I
Yeah.
guess
Yeah,
she
you
would have spent the
you
time with Hunter, but
yeah.
he was too busy, so you get some, make some moves there. I mean, Alice is not necessarily who I envision you with, but I know that you're got some fondness for her.
Well, so
Oh boy.
I see her at the festival, and I say hi, and she's in a good mood, and we're drinking apple cider, and I say, hey, do you want to go get the apple cider donuts? So we get the donuts, and I show her like, hey, I made this sourdough pizza from the wood fire. So we're sitting around this big fireplace, we're having apple cider donuts and drinking cider and eating pizza, and just the sun is setting, and
Very
it's just
cozy.
beautiful, cozy setting. And I look over to the other side of town, and I see a Ferris wheel, and I say, hey. And I point to it, and she agrees with me. So we walk over to the Ferris wheel just as the sun is setting, so the light is perfect in the sky, and we're going around the Ferris wheel, and she wants to play a game with me. And I'm like, okay, what game is this? She takes both of my hands, and to play the game, you have to look into the other person's eyes, and you go three, two, one, and you both have to say a word. And what you try to do is try to get the words, like maybe you'll say a random word, like I'll say corn and she'll say scythe or something like that, in the town. And we try to make the words so similar that eventually we do three, two, one, and we say the same word. So we get stuck at the top of the Ferris wheel. She's holding my hands and she's looking into my eyes, and her face is approaching mine.
Yeah.
We're getting close. I'm looking into her beautiful blue eyes, and we go three, two, one, and we say pumpkin.
You
Because that's
both
the
say the
big
same
we
word.
both say the same word,
And
pumpkin
then
at the same
and then
time.
you kiss.
No,
You kissed her, right?
I chickened out.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah,
Oh, brother.
I know. I chickened out at the last moment, and she was
And
she was her eyes were
so
just oh,
okay, so
yeah.
she had to kiss you then.
No kiss happened up there. We didn't kiss. I
Oh,
chickened out. I've been kicking myself all week about
Peter,
this.
you
This
kiss
hasn't
the
been good.
girl is
I
what you
know.
do in
I know
that
you're supposed
in
to
that
kiss the
moment.
girl.
And I'm not even, I think that Alice
I know what you think
is
about it. I
Alice,
know what you
but
think
you kiss
about
that girl.
it. We didn't kiss? Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, and then we get off the Ferris wheel, and she says she has to go hang out with some of her friends, and then that's the end of it, for the evening, and I haven't seen her since, but
I wouldn't think so.
I'm gonna try again. I feel like I still
Mm,
have a chance of
eh,
some sort with her.
there's plenty of fish in the sea. There's plenty of fish in the sea.
This isn't the sea. I mean, Hemlock's great, but it's like a puddle of like three. There's like not a lot of fish in this puddle.
I guess there's like 7
There's like
single
seven
women in the
single women in the
town.
entire
Yeah.
town. So
Well,
anyway. Well, I liked the festival anyway. I'm just gonna brush it off my shoulders and,
okay.
and keep moving forward. There's two kind of things that were a little bit different to me about this festival that I wanted to ask you about. The first
Shoot.
one is Edgar Wilson. Do you know that name?
Someone who lives in the town?
No, 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 no. He's kind of like he's dead. He's dead now, but he was a
Oh, that Edgar Wilson.
yeah, he was a person who once lived in the town. I guess he was an academic of sorts or something like that. I know he was very instrumental in setting up this festival. Do you know anything about him?
Well, who was talking to you about him? That's where did you hear about this?
I heard about it was one of the kind of like one of the informational booths or something like that in the town.
Okay.
There was people talking about he's a very significant figure in this town, and he
I
shows
guess. I
support.
mean,
You don't have knowledge of anything he's
I
talking
didn't
about?
say that.
Okay.
I just don't know if it's the sort of thing we need to get into right now.
Okay,
We could
okay.
maybe some other time.
Sure.
I mean,
Well, I did notice something in the town. I saw you and a group of I've never seen these people before. There was a short man in kind of a green suit. Y'all went off and I was looking for you and I couldn't find you anywhere. I saw you go off with them for quite a while and then you came back.
well, I spoke to a lot of people
Yeah,
that
but it was kind of weird. This seemed like something like it was very intentional that y'all were going off and you were gone for a good while. So I was just curious if there's
I don't
something
really
different going
recall
on.
what you're talking about,
Okay.
so.
Okay. Well, I didn't mean to be pushy. I was just curious. So we have to talk about that. But overall, the festival was a great time. I really
And
enjoyed
you
it.
got
So
one of your stories from one of the hikers I actually
one of the
saw. I saw
hikers
you
got
talking with him, and
yeah, and
I in that moment, I thought to myself, I said, "Peter's gonna bring this up
yeah,
in the
well,
episode, so might as well just go
might
for
as
it. Would you
well. Well,
share the story?"
I recorded it on my phone, and so I'll go ahead and play it for everyone. And here we go.
Hi, Peter. Thank you so much for the cider the other night. As I mentioned, I live in Monarch full time and started working as a kayaking instructor in July. But now that it's cold out, most of my seasonal work is mainly maintenance. So I decided to hike the stretch between Monarch and Kahi to see the trail for myself. It was a lovely experience, and the late autumn trees were just absolutely stunning. About halfway through the hike, though, I came across something people back in Monarch had warned me about. A crossroads. Now, one trail was marked with a familiar white trailhead, and the other was marked with something I can only describe as a symbol. It was reminiscent of a rune. I knew I was supposed to say on the white trail, but I couldn't help myself. I was overtaken by curiosity. So I took the trail marked by the etchings in the tree. I walked for roughly an hour, and as I went on, the path seemed to narrow around me. The trees grew thick and close, pressing in on either side of the trail. And then I noticed a pocket of darkness ahead in the forest. As I approached it, I realized it was an 8-foot wall of limestone, and as the trail continued down through a very narrow ravine, it was clearly a path. It was the same symbols that had been etched into the rock walls themselves. I kept going. The limestone was covered in moss, and the trail descended deeper into the stone. I estimate the rock walls rose at least 20 feet above my head. That's when I noticed something strange in the distance. A clearing in the rock with something large at its center. I stepped into the clearing, and I had to stop myself from falling into a massive pit below. The space was wide, this big chamber that dropped roughly 30 feet below, straight down. All around the circle were these identical openings carved into the rock like windows looking into the void. I felt as though I had wandered into an ancient coliseum. At the center of it all stood a mass of stone. At first, it looked like an abstract sculpture, a formless tangle of crevices and jagged edges. And then as my eyes traced upward, I felt my stomach drop. There was a stone face sitting atop the structure. The face was worn and faded, as if someone or something had tried to scrub it away with sandpaper. But enough remained that its expression still shone through. This may sound strange, Peter, but I felt as though it was looking directly at me, despite it being nothing more than stone. I dropped to my knees and stared at it. I had the overwhelming sense that whatever this thing was, it wanted something from me, something I had. So I decided I need proof. So I turned and dug through my pack for my camera, but when I turned back, camera in hand, the statue was gone. It had been enormous. I have no explanation for where it could have gone or how. I don't think even a crane or heavy machinery could have removed it so completely. I just stood there, staring into the empty cylindrical space, stunned. Eventually, I grabbed my pack and made my way back towards the crossroads. As the clearing faded from view, though, through the limestone passage, I glanced back one more time. Yet to my shock, I saw something in the open space. I ran as fast as I could, not daring to look back. I'm not really sure what I saw, Peter. Perhaps the statue had returned. I don't really want to think about it anymore. After talking with you, though, I do feel a lot better. So thanks. Well, that's my story. I live in Monarch, so we're not far from each other. Hopefully our paths will cross again.
I I love this wilderness. There's something so profound about being out here. I just can't get
Yeah.
enough of it,
You know, I've heard versions similar to this story before.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, maybe something to unpack at a later date, maybe,
Okay. Yeah.
because this one's a little
Okay.
it's a little close to home.
I won't be pushy right now in this case.
We got a
But
we got a movie this week for
yeah,
our movie review show.
yeah. I guess this is a movie review show. Eternal Recurrence.
Eternal Recurrence. Yeah, this is a funny movie. I mean, it's a
It's kind of scattered. It's kind of choppy.
it goes for it.
Filmed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a concept film, if anything.
yes.
So
Well, then the concept is, I mean, I'll set the scene for you here. I
yeah.
mean, we're with this character, I think in the first, and of course his name does actually change over the course of the movie, but Bill, I think is his name.
Bill.
And he's on his deathbed at age 50. He's got
50th
this,
birthday.
yeah, on his
Yeah.
50th birthday. He's got this tumor that no one really seems to understand where it came from. And he's got his wife there and his son, and he's just expressing to them, I've lived a life full of regrets. And
Yeah.
here's all my regrets. I wish, I fear death because I've done nothing and accomplished nothing in life. You just get the sense of this man who is dying, having just his life was a dud.
Yeah, he treats his family rather poorly in the scene too.
Mhm.
He kind of doesn't have a lot of care or regard for them. They don't really care for him very much, and he dies.
He
And that's how
dies,
the
but that's
film
just the
starts.
beginning
Yeah,
of the film
yeah.
because he dies, but then, without any jump in any gap in continuity, he's just born again.
Born again. Yeah.
He's a baby, but somehow we know, and because, I mean, there's a very sort of humorous narration in this film, kind of a Charlie Kaufman type, and
Very Charlie Kaufman.
he's a baby, but he remembers everything.
Yeah.
He's got all of his knowledge and maturity from the last life, but he's an infant. And it's kind of funny to see this infant just, I don't know how they did this with the actor, just looking very serious
Yeah.
and just kind of glum as not
Yeah, very
being
glum.
not being a baby in any sense, just being a very serious sort of 50-year-old man in a baby's
In a baby's
body.
body. Yeah.
And then he gets a chance to live his life again.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of tell the listeners how that goes for him.
Sure. So the first thing we notice as an audience is there's a little number down at the bottom, I believe right side of the screen, and it just says 2 during this part. And so we see him grow up, we see some formative memories, but he's doing it again kind of with the memory of what happened previously because he's lived this life before, right? And he spends his life, instead of going to college, he knows which stocks are gonna
And the sports
Like,
game outcomes as well, he knows, kind of like Biff
yeah.
from Back to the
It was
Future.
very Biff reminiscent of Back to the Future, so he knows how things are gonna, and he starts making a ton of money.
Yeah.
He becomes extremely decadent and he participates in all sort of debauchery,
Lots
for
of
lack of a better
debauchery.
term. And he becomes kind of a horrible person, but like clockwork, when he's 49 years old, he gets diagnosed with the same tumor. In his life, I think it's portrayed in the screen in like 10, 15 minutes. The second
Yeah.
life is a very short overview of what this life looks like. And he dies in a very expensive hospital room this time and is born again. And we see a
Mhm.
little ticker on the screen for part 3.
Great.
His life is starting over. He dies on his 50th birthday. Y'all can, as the audience, can kind of start to tell where this is going. Every time he dies, he's born again with new knowledge. This life, it's interesting though. He already knows how to be rich and wealthy. He always had a dream of being like a quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if I'm just gonna keep doing it, I might as well go after it this time, right? And we see it kind of cartoonishly. He's not very good at
No, he's not the right
football.
build.
He's not the right build for football, but he keeps trying and trying. He makes it onto I don't know football too much, like a Division 3 like college football backup role or something like that, and doesn't make it, and then spends the rest of his life kind of depressed that he never made it. He does some random job and then he dies again, but he starts again and he does things a little differently. And I believe on like life 15 or 16, he finally, and these are short little
Yeah.
cuts. It's almost kind of a montage of the like counting up the list. He finally makes it to be an NFL quarterback, and he starts that. Haha, very inspirational. He gets bored. His next time around, I believe, what is it for the next thing? He wants to become a great concert pianist or
Yeah,
something
so
like
he
that.
spends like a
Yeah,
dozen lifetimes,
yeah.
maybe close to 20 lifetimes
Mhm.
developing that and becoming a great concert pianist, and gets bored of that too. I mean, he ends up going all sorts of different lives, and he gets bored, and he gets bored. He masters all these things, and he
Gets
reaches a
like 1,000 PhDs or
yep,
something like
and
that
just a
over the
point of
time.
not total nihilism at this point because he doesn't, and so then he kind of goes in a different direction.
Yeah, so after he's become literally like the president several times and accomplished anything one can accomplish, he almost goes a little bit mad and kind of
Hmm.
becomes like a he becomes a serial killer for lack of a
Yeah.
better term, and not just someone who kills, like very gruesome. Like he mutilates people's bodies and almost like makes art out of the dead
Yep.
bodies, and he's horrible, in this, and he spends several lifetimes doing this to the point where he cracks, and he just loses a grasp of reality. So he keeps getting born again in these different lives, and he's immediately admitted to homes for like the
Yeah,
clinically
it's like the
criminally
second
insane.
he becomes conscious enough for them, like I think when he turns like 4, they're like,
He's
oh yeah,
trying to, like, murder
yeah,
people.
in the
It's
in the
not
psych
the
in
point.
the loony bin for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
so he spends several lives like that, and he has a revelation that he needs to do things different. So for several lifetimes, he, from a young age, just starts meditating and
yep.
becoming a monk, and he explores all these spiritual disciplines. He explores Buddhism and Christianity, and
Becomes a Sufi at one point. Yeah,
Sufi at one point, and Kabbalah and all that sort of stuff. And I think he finds some sort of peace doing this, at least as an improvement of what he was previously doing. And then he decides that he doesn't want to do anything grand or highbrow or anything like that, and he decides to become a janitor at like a local elementary school, which he finds deep amount of meanings in. I mean, I think this is the first time he actually feels meaning doing
yep.
anything at all. He enjoys getting to know the children and cleaning up for people and serving. He does a lot of different roles like this. I think he's a sanitation engineer at one point, and he loves keeping the streets clean, and he finds a lot of deep satisfaction doing these kind of works, which is really interesting. And then lastly, towards the end of the film, he starts contemplating. He thinks about his first life, and he's like, "Who did I marry? It's been so long." He doesn't
Yeah, and
remember
at
who his
this
first
point,
wife
we've
is.
almost forgotten
We've
from the
forgotten just
beginning of the
how many
film.
lives he has, and so he does some thinking, and he realizes this is the college that I went to during my first life. So he decides to live that life as close to his first life as possible. He goes to that college, and he meets his wife, and things aren't exactly the same. It's kind of implied that things aren't the same as in his first marriage, but he tries to be the best person he can for his wife, and they end up having a kid.
But it's not the same
Not the
kid.
same kid,
No.
and he becomes determined to figure out how to have the same kid from the first one. Of course, he loves these other children
Yeah,
for who
yeah.
they are, and I think he finds out, like, I think Valentine's Day when he's about 32 years old or something like that. I forget the exact
And
age.
he
He's
has to make love with his wife in a very specific
he has to,
way.
like, put his one leg over his shoulder or something like
Sure,
that, and
but
has to
and there's a great
sacrifice,
montage of
yeah,
him doing all these different, slightly different iterations of it.
in different lives. Like, it's like
Yes,
different
in
lives.
different lives until he finally
Yeah.
gets the same son.
And then so he finally figures out how to have that son, and he basically dedicates several lifetimes, like many lifetimes, to try to become the perfect husband and father to them. And he finds meaningful work, he has variety in what he does, but mostly trying to just spend his life with them the best that he can. And then we end the film almost in a mirror shot to the beginning of the film, except this time he feels deeply connected with them. They're so
Mhm.
sad that he's going, and he thanks them for the beautiful life that he's lived. And then it goes to black, and the film ends. We're kind of left up to interpret: is he going to just do that forever? Has he found his eternity doing that over and over, or does the cycle end? I like to think that it continues over and over again, that he's stuck in this eternal recurrence of memory, and is just
Yeah.
going to find that meaningful life for what it is.
Well, and
So,
when he's dying in that last scene, he's saying goodbye to them, but in a way where he knows he's going to see them again soon. So
yeah,
it's nice. It's a nice ending, and
yeah,
it's the movie's essentially, it's a comedy, it's a funny
yeah.
movie, but it's a sweet ending.
It's a
You
sweet
know.
ending. Yeah, I mean, it's a long film, and
Hmm.
I
Most of
think
these
that
movies that we've been
yeah,
watching have
it's
been.
very very choppy indeed.
Hmm.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it gave me a lot of things to think about. I think the message of the film is simplicity, and
Yeah,
that is kind of where I come to with it. Do you feel the same way?
sure. And there's a lot of kind of Buddhist ideas they're playing around
Of
with in it.
course, yeah,
Yeah, cool movie. I wish I could know anything about the people who made it, but as is generally the case,
yeah.
zilch, nothing, no records of this movie on the internet. So,
Exactly. Well, yeah. Well, I'm excited to watch another film with you next week, maybe.
we'll see.
We'll pull kind of a rain check,
Yeah,
play by ear kind of thing. Okay. Well, thank you again for the Harvest Festival. That was
yeah. Good luck with Alice. You know,
we'll
I
see. We'll
mean,
see what
I'm
happens.
not sure. It'd be interested to see how you could salvage it. I'm not sure it's possible, but
I know. I know. No. So anyway, well, everyone, thanks so much for listening, and
yeah,
hopefully both of us, but maybe just me, will be back for next week. So,
yeah,
alrighty, take care.
me too.